we have to help ourselves. And to do that, we need to pursue this free food and social welfare law. 2, we must pursue the law to prohibit or ban foreign education for government workers. Anybody that is working for government should not send their children, should not be able to send their children outside for foreign education. They should not. Because if they do, it is conflict of interest. You will have a situation such as we have now, where the people who are in charge of making education policies ruin the education system because they have the ability to take the monies that are meant to fund education, steal it, and use it to send their children abroad. And besides, when a government worker that is earning 200,000, that is earning 300,000, 400,000, 50,000, decides to send their children to school abroad, where will he get the money? That is invitation for that government worker to be corrupt. So to help the government workers and to help the Nigerian economy and to help our education system, we need to ban, to prohibit anybody that is working for government from sending their children abroad for education. And we need to also do the same for medical treatment. Because so long as a President Tinubu can go to UK for medical treatment and his ministers can go to UK for medical treatment and the head of the parastatals, the Primary Healthcare Development Agency, can go to UK and go abroad to US, to India for medical treatment, how do you think they will not steal the money that is meant for making our healthcare system work and use that money to go and give themselves medical treatment abroad? It is conflict of interest. Another thing we need to stop is the ability for a government worker to be able to have houses and have bank accounts abroad. It should be stopped, because so long as you have people like Festus Keyamo, who we saw his display on social media the other time about the house that he reportedly said he bought with his own money in the United States of America, house that is reported to be worth over 500,000 US dollars. 500,000 US dollars is about 300 million naira. Do you know how many industries that could have set up in Nigeria here? Do you know how many people that would have been employed? And coincidentally, Festus Keyamo happened to be a Minister of State for Employment that Nigerians did not see. During his time as Minister of State for Employment, he oversaw unemployment rate as high as 40%. And yet, he could take Nigeria's money that he claimed is his own money. You should come and tell us the work he did to earn $500,000. Took Nigeria's money and took it to America to go and buy one house. How many times in a year does Festus Keyamo stay in that house in America? You see the waste that these consumption leaders put Nigeria's resources to. So we should ban it. We need to ban it. Anybody that is working for government should not be allowed, should not be able to have an account abroad. His children should not be able to have an account abroad. He should not be able to buy properties abroad. If he wants to buy properties abroad, or if they want to buy properties abroad, they should resign their appointment. And after a period of 5 or 10 years, then they can buy. Else they go to jail. We can draw up these laws and force it on the National Assembly. These are the kind of laws that Nigeria needs. And of course, so that there will be an avalanche of jobs, we need to create a law to set up business startup hubs and to engage in a indoctrination of Nigerians to have a business mindset, to have a production mindset. Because right now, Nigerians are just full of consumption. We are a consuming economy, following after the dictates of our consumption leaders. We consume, we don't produce. But if we set up this startup law, which will create business startup hubs across the geopolitical zones in Nigeria, business startup hubs. And what will these business startup hubs do? The business startup hubs will provide free power, free internet, and free office space. So Nigerian youths will be encouraged to go there, walk through the process of how to start different businesses in different sectors, and can just go there and start. You don't need to worry about the cost of renting an office, the cost of paying for internet, because in fact, we can even help them with joint services like secretary for correspondences in this business startup law. These are the 5 laws that will save Nigeria. We need to do these 5 laws. If not, conflict of interest will not let these consumption leaders let Nigeria develop. We are focused on corruption. Corruption is bad. Corruption makes things hard. Yes. Corruption provides a platform for these consumption leaders to steal our resources and take them away to other places for the benefit of themselves and their families and their friends. Yes. But you see, Nigeria is not nearly as corrupt as the EU, as America, as UK, as Switzerland. Nigeria is not as corrupt as they are. If those countries are corrupt and yet they are doing well, how come we are not doing well despite our leaders being corrupt? Don't get me wrong. Corruption is bad and must be stopped. But to stop corruption, it is not all these things that EFCC is doing. No. It is these 5 laws that must be enacted. These are the laws that will stop corruption. Because I just gave you the example of the civil servant who earns 250,000 naira as monthly salary. He has 2 children and he's sending them abroad to go and school. A venture that will cost nothing less than 40 million naira. So where will he get the money? He has to steal. So by simply allowing any government official, any government worker, and I'm not talking about elected government official or appointed government official alone, any government worker, whether they are teachers, whether they are civil servants, whether they are public servants, any government workers, whether they are army or soldiers or civil defense or navy or air force, any government worker, none of them should be allowed to send their children abroad to school. None of them should be allowed to send their children and themselves abroad for medical treatment. None of them should be allowed to have bank accounts or their children have bank accounts or buy houses or their children buy houses abroad for a period. None of them should be allowed. Now, this does not go against the freedom, against any fundamental rights of anybody. This is simply taking care of conflict of interest. If those government workers wish that they want to send their children abroad, or that they want to travel abroad for medical treatment, or they want to send their children abroad to school, then they should resign government work. They should resign. They should recuse themselves, because it is conflict of interest to have the head of the UBEB, Universal Basic Education, sending his children to go school abroad, where the public schools in Nigeria are nothing to write home about. It's a conflict of interest. And this conflict of interest will continue until these 5 laws are enacted. And don't complain about whether or not they are perfect solutions or they're not perfect solutions. We will tailor-make these solutions in such a way that they will address the needs of Nigerians, and then we will force them on the National Assembly. Don't worry about whether or not the National Assembly will accept the laws and pass them. This is where our pressuring will come. If they see that 10 million persons have signed the petition, and the people on the street, the young man on the street, the old woman on the street, the old man on the street understands that these laws, particularly the free food stamp and social welfare law that exists in America, that exists in Europe, that is helping those who cannot help themselves, if they see this, they will now see the lawmakers that will not pass it, and they will know how to vote subsequently. This is how we fix this country. This is how we take care of these consumption leaders once and for all. I beg you in the name of God, whatever you can do, please do. We need volunteers in drafting these laws. We will draft them ourselves. We will not rely on these lawmakers, because right now I'm even afraid for the lawmakers, even the Labour Party lawmakers. You saw what this House of Rep lawmaker has been going around saying, that he has seen the light after collecting our votes, the same votes that we were tortured and beaten and stabbed for, the same votes that APC terrorized us for and rigged us out for. The ones that we stood firm and got for them, they are now coming out to come and tell us that they have seen the light. Tinubu is a wonderful person. oh, we need to begin this process of recall. And he's the one that is even shouting. The others that are not shouting are doing even worse. So that's why I say that these lawmakers, until they prove me wrong, they are guilty as charged. They have compromised. So we will come up with these laws ourselves and we will go to them. Then we will see their reaction and we will know how to implement the recall or how to vote when it comes to the next election cycle. That's pending what happens at the tribunal anyway. But we must start now. We must start now to take back Nigeria from the hands of these evil ones. Stand up for Nigeria. Don't sit idly by. Don't go silent and say, let's sit down and look. The more time passes, the worse the policies of Tinubu will get. We need to start now by taking action to mitigate his actions, to mitigate these policies. Yes, as we do this, we are watching the judiciary and we are watching the legislature as well as we are watching the executive. We have to shine our eyes. Part of it is to do these 5 laws that will fix Nigeria. We need contributions, please. Contribute to us. We need funds to get volunteers to pay them something to go around because we need to take these messages to the grassroots. How many of Nigerians are on social media? How many of them can afford the data to watch these kind of videos? We have been so brainwashed by football, movies, music, entertainment. We have been so brainwashed that is all our youth care about. And those are the things that they are using to make sure that we are perpetually enslaved. So it is our responsibility to go out and expose these secrets, these lies to the people. And we need resources to do that. So please support us. Check the details in the description. And then let's get Nigeria back from the hands of these wicked ones.